So I'm starting the
You're
recording.
muted,
Is it a definite tonight after the meeting?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Too nice not to go down to Michael's.
Of course, Ron, if you weren't here, we wouldn't have a quorum.
Ooh.
Yes, hang in there to the end.
Right.
Well, I've only heard from David that he's not going to be here, so we're still expecting Dan, right? Oh, and Steve, yeah, Steve's not going to be
Steve's
here.
not here. So maybe Dan.
Maybe Dan.
Wherever Gretchen is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
There
there's
she
Gretchen.
is.
There's Gretchen. I got to bring up. All right, go away. So we got attendees. All right. So I'm going to give it another minute and then we'll start.
Okay.
We'll start at 6:45.
Mhm.
What happens if we don't have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
Oh,
We got 4.
oh, okay.
But if we didn't for some reason have a quorum, we would have to cancel the meeting.
Yeah.
Reschedule the meeting.
There aren't some actions you can take without a quorum?
Nope.
No.
Oh, there's Dan too.
Oh, good.
All right, now that Dan is here, let's bring this meeting to order. This is the September 7th, 2021 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform. This meeting is being recorded. First item on the agenda are the August 17th, 2021 minutes. Anybody got any comments or changes or questions? All right, neither do I. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second? I'll second. Roll call, Paul Healy.
I'll abstain. I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay. Dan Warshall.
Yay.
Let's see, Ron DeCola.
I wasn't at the meeting either, so I don't know if I should be voting.
Well, then,
how's that work?
well, we're not going to have we won't have a quorum to approve the minutes.
For approving minutes, do you need a quorum of the commission or just a quorum of the people attending?
We probably just need do we need
I think it's a quorum of the people attending on minutes.
Okay.
It's not the same as a vote on a project.
All right. In that case, Carol Wagon.
Sorry.
Oh, you're muted, Carol.
I wasn't at the meeting either, so I can't vote.
Oh, all right. Well, then we don't have. We'll table it until the next meeting. All right. Onward and upward. Do we have any Plum Island updates?
I do not have any Plum Island updates right now. Actually, things have been at a standstill since last meeting.
Okay.
Are they still proceeding with the dredging?
As far as I know, everything's in line, ready to proceed with the dredging in late October. If I hear any changes to that, delays or whatever, I'll let you guys know.
Okay. Very good. So on to 3Q Street. Julie, you want to give us a rundown?
Yes. Okay, so we do have, I believe, Warren, whoever's here for 3Q Street, if you could sort of raise your hand and I will bring you over to speak as a panelist. I believe that's Warren Eaton. So I'll move him over. Okay. Cheryl. Okay. Okay.
Okay, if you wanna unmute yourselves.
Actually, can I confirm if Cheryl is a property owner or representing the project, or if she is just a neighbor interested party?
I'm here with Mark Brady.
Okay, so
Property
I'm going.
Is everyone else getting an echo?
Yes.
A little bit.
Does anyone have two devices open, like a phone and a computer?
I could try shutting my phone down and stay on my laptop.
That might do.
Works,
yeah, that would be a good thing.
I shut it down. We're all set.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, that's much better. So, but I'm still hearing myself. I don't know why. Is anyone else in the attendance using two devices?
Cheryl, do you have just one or two devices running?
Just the one.
Oh, this is...
Let's everybody mute except those who are speaking, and then see.
Yeah.
Good idea. That seems better. So, okay. We have Warren. All right. Warren, would you be able to begin by explaining what happened at 3Q Street with the garage? Because that's where we sort of started with this.
You are muted, Warren.
You're going to have to unmute yourself.
You guys got me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mr. Drago, Mark, asked me to help him out with the garage. We're going to do doors, windows, new side, and new roof. At the time, I explained when I went and pulled the building permit to do this work that any construction, anything that was rotten or needed to come down, I would replace with new material to make it structurally sound. It would not be adding any square footage. What I did was, as we started taking this apart, I found that there was a lot of rotten wood. There was insects infested in it. Termites were, I'm not a professional in that field, but I've been doing this now for probably about 30 years, and the termites were really bad in there. We did brace it. We ended up losing it overnight. So I told my guys to take everything down because the structure was not safe for the homeowners or anybody else in the neighborhood. So that's where we were at with that. And now I'm being told, I talked to Jen and Julia, and we're trying to figure out with you guys what would be in the best interest for Mr. Drago to move forward with just reconstructing the garage that is there. Now we are down to the subfloor that was original, and we do have a little knee wall on the back. All the material is in a dumpster because I haven't got rid of any of it because, you know, the stop work order that I had from the building inspector, and he was very pleasant. He said, you know, just go ahead and pull a demo permit, get it finished up. I'll sign it the next day, which he did. So we're trying to work with you guys and what you think the best solution would be, as well as what we think the best solution would be, and see if we can compromise and figure out which direction to take with this. You know, Mr. Drago, unfortunately, now has all his belongings that were in there out on the ground and over $1,000 worth of material on the ground out there. We do have it under tarp right now. So that's basically where we're at now. I've had extensive talks with Julia and Jen and Mark. And we've kind of went not back and forth, but kind of communicating to see what we could actually do on each end. And Julia suggested that the best interest for us at the time would be to be on the agenda for this evening and talk to you guys and see how we could move forward.
Right. So, pardon my echo. And I hope that it's not me that's causing this. But shut off my phone for a sec.
Maybe Warren, you can mute your phone again.
Mute it again? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, Warren, I think the feedback's coming through you.
Okay. So for the commissioners, what Warren just explained is how we got this, how this came to be on the agenda today. The project to renovate the house, or forget about the garage, was permitted by you all previously to add a second floor to the garage structure only. And when was it permitted? It was permitted actually July 2020, so just a little over a year ago. And they received an order of conditions to add a second floor to the existing house. And the garage wasn't part of that project. They had proposed later, just after that, they came in with a building permit to renovate the garage by adding new windows and siding, like he said. And then now, as he explained, apparently it needed a lot more than that, so they took it down. And unfortunately, being in the V zone and being that they took down more than 50% of the walls and the roof, that's any change and right now is considered substantial improvement in addition to being new construction in the V zone. And not only is new construction not allowed in the V zone, but if it were allowed, because they took down the walls and the roof, it would have to be up on pilings. And in the V zone right here, the base flood elevation is elevation 17. So that would be significantly elevated and makes building it in its existing location pretty much impractical. So that's why I recommended that they could maybe move it out of the V zone and into an area that's actually not in a flood zone at all, but that they should come in and talk to you. That said, just today, I sent you an email about this, Warren. I'm not through the permitting system because I didn't have your email aside from our permitting correspondence. I sent you an email because today we learned more information about the site, which is that a good deal of landscaping had been done on the site prior even to the initiation of work on the house, landscaping that wasn't permitted by the Conservation Commission, including expansion of the driveway and parking area, extension of a gravel area along the side of the house and into the back, a new pathway, and all sorts of things like that, a new fencing that doesn't comply with the Conservation Commission regulations. So, and then in addition, the construction on the house itself has gone beyond in certain areas what was originally permitted. And that's particularly problematic because in this particular project, the commission had asked for an appraisal report to be done on the construction for the house, the proposed second floor and other renovations, because they were concerned that it would go beyond the 50% threshold, improved value threshold for becoming a significant improvement and thereby having to go up on pilings as well. And the project appraisal came in at exactly 50%. So you were allowed to keep the solid foundation. But now that the work has gone beyond what was originally approved, we would need a revised plan and a new appraisal, and that's specified also specifically in the order of conditions. So that all became clear today, which is why I sent you the email. And I believe it's something that we need to discuss tonight with the commission in terms of how to move forward with those additional issues. These are some photos. Of the landscaping. These were submitted by a neighbor today. So you can see the fence. along the side of the house. Just non-compliant. The pergola was not included in the approved plans. This roof line is different than what was approved. And this deck was not in the approved plans. And this landscaping down here, I don't know if it's a patio, or whatever that is. It's hard to tell. All this landscaping is new. As you can see.
Yeah, so I guess we need a Warren, if you can mute yourself again, please.
I'm here.
Right, you need to mute, because it's your system that's causing the echo.
Okay.
So basically, we're gonna need what Julie said. A variance to rebuild the garage is going to be very difficult. You're welcome to attempt it, but it's going to be really difficult for us to approve, because there's certainly no overriding public interest to rebuild the garage. Like you said, we need a new appraisal. And we need whatever landscaping, we need all the landscaping documented, because the landscaping was not there in March of 2019, and it's all there now, including the fencing. So we're going to need a complete assessment and all that, and we're gonna need appraisals.
Joe, I have a question. Are any of the other structures that you can see in the picture also within the V zone? Is everything else okay where it's located?
What you see right here is the pre-existing house and the garage. This is from 2017, but as Joe said, this was all still here in 2019 before they started work on the house. And all of this, except for a small portion of the garage, is located in the V zone. There's an area that's sort of just to the left of where that car is parked, that's actually out of not just the V zone, but it's apparently higher ground enough that it's mapped out of the flood zone entirely, which is odd. But there are odd things associated with the FEMA maps, and this is one of them. And so technically this area here would be considered buildable. They would still have to meet the Plum Island regulations, and anything would have to be at least 2 feet above the highest ground elevation, but there's no base flood elevation there because it's not considered in the flood zone.
Yeah, according to the map, it looks like about this side of the garage was out of the V zone, and the entire area where the car is up to the house and up to the first level of the house is out of the V zone too.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes it tricky to rebuild the garage in its existing location.
So, I'm not prepared to go into any long discussions about this tonight, just because it's all brand new, and there are several items that need to be taken care of before we go any further. I don't know if anybody else has any questions for the developer.
One question, does the property owner, did they use I don't recall, did they use a wetland scientist on this project?
They did. This was, it was either Patrick or Michael Seecamp on this one, and I'd have to go back into my old notes, and it's in the file to remember which one it was. It was one of the Seecamp brothers, and they did. They came in with the notice of intent, for construction of a second level on the existing house with no site work, no landscaping, other than they said they were going to remove some concrete. And they said everything else was existing condition, and that really the only reason why they needed Concom approval was for construction of the second level and like a change to the entry. It was very minimal. And so if it hadn't been for the significant improvement issue, it wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been many concerns with the project as proposed. What we didn't know was that they had already done a tremendous amount of landscaping without a permit. They had done all of this expanded driveway and pathways and fencing, and maybe they hadn't put the fence up yet at that point. I don't know, because we were presented with something that didn't reflect what was currently on the ground. And Patrick Seekamp didn't mention it either. They called it existing conditions, but it wasn't really existing conditions. It was what they were already working on.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the garage isn't going anywhere, I don't think. At this point, we need to address, the client needs, the homeowner needs to address all of these issues that were brought up. I mean, these are not insignificant, and it was clear in the language in the orders of conditions that any modification to the plan, any change needed to come before the board, and they didn't. So all this stuff needs to be addressed.
All right. So I'm not sure who Peter is with his hand up. But I don't know whether, Warren, if you have any other questions for us.
I do have one question, Julie. You stated that the roof line, can you go back to the picture that had the circles on the windows near
Sure.
Thank you.
So,
you're talking about the roof. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jennifer called this out when we were looking at the plans today. Originally, this roof line was lower, or what the proposed plans, it was lower, with just sort of like half moon windows. One was shown. So the elevation got higher, and the windows are more significant.
Yeah, I don't have those with. Yeah, we'll address that. I was just curious on that, and I'll do a little research on that as well, because I believe that's on the last set of blueprints that I built to, but I will confirm that. So
it very well may have been on your plans, on your construction drawings. It was not on what the commission was presented with for permitting, and I don't know whether or not it was included in the appraisal report.
Okay, all right. We'll do a little homework on that. At this time, I don't have anything else. I don't know if anyone else does.
Well, I'm just wondering if we need some sort of a date by which we would like the new presentation.
Yeah, that would be great, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to be up to you guys.
All right.
Because it's
we got some work to do ahead of us, and I'll get together with Mark tomorrow, and we'll start presenting everything and figuring out what we need to do to comply by everything, and we'll get it back to you. And then, do you want us to contact, who do we contact when we have the appraisal and all the other stuff done for you guys?
That would be me. Warren, staff person. And I'd appreciate if we could put a date on this. Like maybe if you can get to the commission a landscape plan showing the landscaping that was done.
Okay.
We need like a pre and post so we can see where vegetation was impacted, things like that. And then we need the revised building plans and a revised appraisal just to reflect the current construction.
Okay. Yep.
And I'm guessing, I mean, I don't know what you guys think in terms of a date, but I'd like to have that sooner rather than later, so we don't let this thing go for too long, because I know they still need to address the garage issue.
Right. Well, my point was that they can't do anything until it's settled. So I would think they're going to want to get information into us ASAP.
Yeah.
So Julia, would you like me just to reach out to you by phone or by email, whatever suits you the best?
It would be best if you emailed me.
Perfect. Okay.
So I see Cheryl had, can you mute yourself again, Warren?
Yes, hold 1 second, please.
I see that Cheryl has her hand up. This isn't actually a public hearing, but I'll give you a minute or two if you want to say something.
Hi, this is Mark, the homeowner. How are you?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Good. No, if it's not a public forum, it's not that big a deal. I just wanted to say, I appreciate you guys taking the time to look at this, and that all the grasses that you see that are planted, there were grasses that were put in by Bill Barrett, who actually did a landscape plan, and we did get I'm pretty sure we had a fence permit as well. And the fence that was put in was a fence that was, it was aesthetically pleasing to all the neighbors. It was a fence that was put in that other neighbors have in the neighborhood. Neighbors adjacent to me, behind me, all have the same fence. So we just tried to make sure that everything was put in to make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing to all the rest of the neighbors that were there. The sea grasses that were planted were very, very well placed. There were several sea grasses that are around the property. We had mentioned that we would plant several hundred sea grasses, and that it was very expensive to do that, which we did. The driveway itself was put down. I had talked to them about putting down some gravel. They told me I could use pea stone, which I did. I didn't make the driveway any larger. That was the size of the driveway. The driveway did have stone in it, and the stone was just beat down into the dirt, and so much that it was potholes, water. It was really an unpleasant experience to go into the house for the contractors as well as ourselves. And we just tried to make the property look as eye-pleasing as possible to the neighbors while it was under construction. And we definitely would take any advice about moving the garage to any location. We would like to and hope to satisfy all the neighbors who we did have a meeting with. There was only one neighbor who has been totally in a different way, so didn't understand the process that we were going through. So we're just trying to move this along the best we can to satisfy whatever you folks need to give us, to try to get this garage placed in the correct position.
So is all that green, is that mowed beach grass?
That's just, that you can see it and against the wall. That is all beach grass. That is all grass that we have planted, ornamental grasses as well as beach grasses.
So what's green on this picture here on the bottom part, that's all beach grass?
It's a certain type. It's like an ornamental beach grass. Oh, this grass here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the short grass?
Yeah.
Yeah, that short grass has been there when we moved in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
We just laid down some gravel and stuff like that just to make it easier to walk, and that's all we did. We didn't really embellish too much.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just needed to be included in the permitting process, because there was vegetation removed, and putting down gravel, even though it's gravel, it's loose, you didn't pave it. It's part of changing the landscape on the island that requires approvals. So I mean,
that we had talked about that. I'm sure that Bill Barrett had mentioned that to everybody. I mean, he wouldn't have let me do it unless it was something that he would have okayed. But
yeah, well, you all might have talked about it. I'm sure you did, but it did not come before the commission as part of the permitting process for this project.
Well, I don't know, but okay, whatever you guys think is fine with us. I mean, we'll do whatever we need to do to help to make this project go forward.
Okay. All right. So
Thank you.
You know what we need. All right. Thank you. All right. On to the Harbor Master's shed on Plum Island.
Yes. We have, hold on a sec here. Sorry. Trying to move my, hold on.
Anybody talk? Why?
Okay. Here we go.
And Mark, you may want to mute yourself too.
I can do that. Sorry. Okay, so this is, can you all see this?
Yes.
The letter? Okay. So this is the letter that that Joe and Carol drafted to the Harbor Master. I believe I sent this all to you in an email, but before it is sent, it would be good to have you all vote on whether or not you want to send this to the Harbor Master.
Well, yeah, this afternoon when you sent it, I read it through, and I found it a little confusing. In the middle paragraph, it sounded as though they had to do things according to what we had expected. But then in the last paragraph, it was kind of like, well, if you do anything else, then you have to do this. So it wasn't clear to me what the intent was.
Okay, somebody else said that too, and the intent was to fix it as soon as reasonably possible, and if not, if you do anything else with it, it has to be raised. This was more, I think the intent was more to let the mayor know that none of the proper permits were filed, and basically put him on notice. I question as to whether we're going to get anything done until that thing gets blown over by a hurricane.
Well, before long, the ocean front will be right up there.
Well, there is that part too.
And I think part of the thinking was just that we didn't want to just let it go. I mean, he said,
right,
we can't do it. We can't afford to do it. And I think it seemed to me at that last meeting, you all were saying, well, there's nothing else we can do right now. But it seemed like it was a good idea to have some sort of a written record of the fact that we weren't particularly satisfied with that response, but that there wasn't much more we could do at this time. So maybe the wording could be changed. That was the idea.
Yeah, I'm open to any wording changes that well, almost any wording changes put in there, but yeah, if we can table this till the next meeting and folks can mark it up if you want. If something's going to make it sound more, more clear or clearer.
I am in agreement with the idea of putting it in writing on record that although things are remaining as is with the Harbor Master shack out there, that it's not what the commission permitted, and that it doesn't meet the regs. Because if we don't go on record as saying that, then it could be viewed as the commission's approval of it being right as is.
I think we do that in the middle paragraph, right? I mean, that comes through loud and clear to me.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then the last paragraph, is there a way to just sort of, position it as in the future or for any future alterations, you know, in the event that it requires repair or being replaced. So it's separating it from the events that got us to this point, but goes on record saying they got to go through the full process next time around.
Yeah.
So if I can just add,
it's just a transition between the two statements.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I wasn't at the last meeting, but it's too expensive to raise the shed a foot, or is it the amount of is it pilings? What's the big expense item that makes this a difficult project?
It's a large shed, and apparently the company won't do it, and DPS has to do it for them, and they might have to put it on piles. Supposedly you can't go up on cinder blocks as high as it needs to go, and I don't know.
They'd have to bring in special equipment to lift it, jack it up, move it over. It was, it's onerous. Harbor Master doesn't have it in their budget. DPS doesn't have it in its budget. It's could jeopardize the structure of the shed now that it's in place. That sort of thing is what was being.
Yes. If we put something like in the future, if the shed must be repaired or replaced for any reason, in that last paragraph is.
Yeah, something like that would make it, I think, clearer.
Yeah, well, I can certainly clean that up to make it quite specific that it's in the future, and I can do that and send it around for people. You can respond to Julie, and we'll just vote on it on the next meeting.
Okay.
It's fine by me. It's gone on for almost 2 years. We can wait another meeting.
Sounds good.
Yeah, just one observation. It seems like we went through great lengths in that middle paragraph to talk about the bad precedent being set here, and as opposed to the example that should be set, but then we just leave it flat. I mean, like, is that like us acquiescing to the fact that this won't change?
It's kind of tough to really do an enforcement order against the city.
Okay.
Which is why the attempt to shame shame them by letting the mayor out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying though, Ron. It's you makes you wonder how someone else reading this would interpret it and what that meant.
Yeah, it's like we've pointed out some pretty significant shortcomings that we probably wouldn't let someone else get away with.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know. It just feels a little funny. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
You're right. And that's one of the issues of dealing with when the city violates the regulations. It makes it difficult.
Well, I think it's covered by the first sentence in that second paragraph, which is that reiterating the requirement that the entire shed be raised at least 1 foot above the ground on all sides as soon as reasonably possible. And then, so that's saying we still think you need to do this and you need to do it ASAP, but that's it. You know what I mean? And then it's sort of up to them to make that happen or not make that happen, or in what time frame that happens is more tied to their resources, etc. But you know,
and I suppose I could throw that third paragraph in there, just add it in, a shorter version of it, right in there. Saying that if anything needs to be repaired or replaced for any reason, you got to raise it.
Yeah.
And then maybe just that, we understand the current, I mean, we have permits or orders of compliance open for a long time, but that's not unusual. right? May not be ideal. And, you know, by just saying, but we wish to stress, maybe we can just strengthen that piece of it, like be a little bit more like we expect the city, you know, to be in compliance, as opposed to we wish to stress. It's just, it doesn't, gives us a little teeth to our statement, I think.
Well, that's where I went with second to last sentence there. In fact, the city should be setting the example of compliance with its own regulations.
Yeah.
But
would there be some reason to copy somebody from city council on this in case they're like looking at a budget and thinking about things that need to be done, or is it just confusing things further?
I think that might get messy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an executive branch issue.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they wouldn't quite, I don't know if it would, yeah. I don't know how else to say it. Get messy.
All right, well, we'll take a look at it and make some requested adjustments, and we'll look at it at the next meeting. And Ron, if you want to add stuff, please do.
Okay.
You got a little time left.
Sounds good.
Right. Okay, let's move on. On to certificates of compliance, requested determination, etc. First one is David Sorensen, 7 M Street, request for determination.
Yes, and I'm going to promote to panelist Will Royer, who is the representative for this project. Will should be over here in a minute. There he is. So Will, if you want to unmute yourself and just give a brief overview of what the applicant is proposing in this project, that would be great.
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I was brought in by Brad Johnson from Johnson & Rich. We've done work with him in the past. He needed a couple sets of granite steps for some egresses into the building. And there's also like a concrete driveway to the garage that the client obviously gets a ton of water. It's kind of pitched back to the garage, and there's a stormwater management issue with that, with water getting in the garage. Obviously making more areas permeable versus non-permeable is a big plus. So and he has a secondary kind of parking area that's gravel, crushed stone. So he's fine with that sort of driveway surface. So Brad mentioned removing this concrete and putting down just a simple crushed stone driveway to the garage. One of the accesses into the house is where the lilacs currently are. So obviously it would, those need to be removed. They're pretty overgrown in that spot. So ripping those out and kind of building that grade up, because it does sort of pitch back to the house, and that looks like almost like a U. So the grade does pitch back to the house there. So be building that grade up a little bit, and then that would have a granite step and a granite landing. The other door would have 2 granite steps and 1 granite landing. So, and then obviously when I presented this to Julia, she mentioned that removing vegetation would require installing the additional square footage of vegetation. When I, included that into the revised estimate to the client, he mentioned that he planted a bunch of eastern red cedars last fall, and some pictures of those, which I forward over to the Conservation Commission, and try to do a kind of a square footage thing off of my estimating software. And it looked like there was, more square footage of new plantings with those cedars than there would be removed from the lilacs. So that's pretty much it. There is one piece of timber that kind of just randomly stuck into the crushed stone existing driveway that we were just going to kind of cut out. That's really just an aesthetics thing. So I think that's pretty much it. It's kind of straightforward.
I can confirm. I was out there today, checking out the plantings of the red cedars and looking at the lilac area and the driveway area where the concrete was to be removed and the gravel went down, and there's these 2 lilac bushes, as he pointed out, in let's see, in this location, and you can see them in the photo here, 1, 2, and it's a relatively small area. And then he just did you say it was last fall, I believe, planted a bunch of these eastern red cedars in this area, as well as in this area right along L Street and sort of the backyard. It's actually a very heavily kind of naturally vegetated site all around the house. But he planted, I counted at least 6 cedars planted here. And then there were several scattered in and around this area as well that I couldn't count as well because this is so sort of thickly vegetated in this area. But I would agree that the cedars that were planted last fall more than compensate for what would be the loss of these 2 lilac bushes in that region.
Okay.
Do
we have anything? You know, getting rid of a concrete driveway is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we like red cedars, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So anything else?
I think that's pretty much on my end.
Okay. So can I get a motion?
Motion, was this a request for determination?
Yes.
Okay, motion to issue a -2.
Second.
All right, Paul Healy?
Yes.
Dan Warshall?
Yes.
Ron DeCola?
Yes.
Carol Wagon?
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, thank you.
Thanks very much, appreciate it.
Yep. All right, can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. First item is Lorraine and Michael Riley, 2 Spofford Street. Amended order of conditions, and they have asked for another continuance to the next meeting. Was it, Julie?
It was. I asked if they wanted to go out longer because they've now continued this since at least July, but he said no, he wants to go to the next meeting. So we
just string them along.
Yep.
All right, so what's the next meeting is the 21st?
Yep.
Can I get a motion?
I'll submit a motion to continue 2 Spofford Street to the next meeting, July 21st.
Second.
Paul Healy.
Yes.
Dan Warshall.
Yes.
Ron DeCola.
Yes.
Carol Wagon.
Yes.
And I vote yes, and that's September 21st, not July.
Yes.
Sorry.
And, sorry. All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearings?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I think that is our agenda for the evening. We're not doing any enforcements right now. Julie, with regards to the land management folks, has anything moved on that?
Yes, actually, we had a great meeting with the mayor last week on Thursday, and we also spoke with the city auditor, and they are going to request they're putting in a supplemental budget right now for the rest of the year. They're going to request that $6,000 be put in as an annual line item to pay for this cost. And then anything above and beyond that $6,000 sort of base fee for the work that was proposed that could be requested from the Conservation Commission budget, as it is germane, but that the base cost of this contract would go through the city's budget.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went with, what's his name?
Matt Smith from Woodsman Inc.
Yeah. He was clearly on top of things and came with really good resume or really good references and resume. So I'm psyched about that. And that'll give us, if they do this for supplemental budget and they have it as a line item, that's going to give us $6,000 a year to put toward trail maintenance if we want, or any other things, trail creation, maintenance, whatever. So,
yeah. Good.
So, all right. Now we are done.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I wasn't able to make the site visit with regard to the wind turbines.
That's tomorrow. It's happening tomorrow. It was postponed because of rain.
The Hurricane Ida.
Oh, okay. But it sounded like from something in the paper that it wasn't clear that it was going to go forward anyway, but I guess that's not true then.
Well, no, we're going to do a site visit tomorrow. If anybody wants to participate in that. What is it, 6:30 at Story Ave?
I believe so. It's the same schedule, time and location as last week's meeting was scheduled for, but it'll be tomorrow night instead of last week. It was just too heavy rain.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I will be there. Are you going to be able to go, Julie?
Yep. Sound like.
All right. Ron, I will take a motion from you.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will second that. All in favor? Oh, wait a minute. We're going to do a roll call.
Oh.
All right. Paul Healy?
Yes.
Dan Warshaw?
Yes.
Carol Wagon?
Yes.
I vote yes. Ron DeCola?
Yes.
All right. I'll see some of you folks maybe in a little while.
Yeah.
Good to see you shortly.
Okay.
All right. Meeting at Michael's.
Everyone. Yep.
At Michael's.
Yep. See you there.
See you soon.